So up until now, we have really only read informational texts. So we're going to switch gears to literature. Specifically, we're going to start reading a play called Zoot Zoot by Luis Valdez. One thing to consider is that literature is an art form. Literature can be used as a tool to read the world around you, and it can be used as a tool to critique the world around you as well. So we're going to look at the idea of literary lenses. So what does this mean? The first thing you should know is that when we read a text, you can read it through a specific quote-unquote lens that highlights a specific theme in that text. So the way we read it, we're going to highlight different subjects and themes within that text. That's what we mean by when we say literary lenses. We'll give some examples of that in just a second. The other thing you should know that there are many types of lenses that you can use to read the same text. And you can also use these lenses to read the real world around you. In other words, you can use this in real life. Literary lenses that we'll be looking through are social class lens. This refers to the system of ordering a society in which people are divided into sets based on perceived social or economic status. What does that mean? Have you ever heard of higher class or lower class? When we talk about higher class, we really associate that with richer, more powerful system class of people. Lower class, we refer to a group of people who are quote unquote working class, who earn less, and who are traditionally seen to have less power. So when we read this text and look for social class references, we're looking at anything that refers to class, money, power, or anything referring to that. The second lens is gender. This is behavioral or cultural psychological traits typically associated with one sex. Again, gender is a construct, meaning it can range from society to society, but when we look at a text, we can highlight what that author refers to regarding gender or sex. The next lens we're going to use is race. Race refers to any one group that as human beings can be divided into based on shared distinctive physical traits, or a group of individuals who share a common culture or history. So reading this text, we can look at it highlighting what references it makes regarding race. And in this one, that will come up a lot. The next lens is historical. This play takes place in the past, so we can look at the historical context relating to or having the character of history. We can look at it as a thing that happened in the past and possibly how it relates to our future today. Religion. This is a personal set of institutionalized system, religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Anytime the author brings up any reference to religion, we can highlight that portion of that text. Cultural, relating to ideas, customs, and social behaviors of society. So anytime the author references any customs, social behavior, then we're looking at the text through the cultural lens. Language would fall under cultural lens.
So I think you're all pretty familiar with Snapchat. Another way to look at lenses is as if it were a filter.
And just like when you switch the filter, you can switch the lens and read that same text in a different lens, highlighting something different. For example, I could switch to the gender lens and pay close attention to what the author says and comments about gender.
As we move forward through this text, we'll be looking at it through different lenses. Eventually, we'll be writing about it through different lenses as well.
Using these lenses really allows us to see multiple perspectives within the same text. So there's a proverb that says, "Until the lion tells their story, tales of hunting will glorify the hunter." So imagine, if we tell the story of hunting through the hunter's eyes, that's going to give us one perspective. But if we tell that same story through the eyes of the lion who has his life taken away, maybe that story is going to sound a little bit different. As we use our lenses, we get to see different perspectives of the same story. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reading A Pandemic in Pictures. What does that mean? First, let's go over the criteria, then I'll explain it. 1, you're going to choose a picture to read through our literary lenses. You're going to copy and paste it into a document on Google Classroom. I will set up that assignment. You're going to choose a lens from the ones I gave you just now, and you're going to answer the question, what effects has the coronavirus pandemic had? Answer through the literary lens you chose. Develop your own analysis or thinking of the picture and pull in any personal experiences or news reports to answer the question above. Cite evidence from what you see in that picture or outside sources. So let me give you some examples. Here we have this picture on the left. Take a minute to look at it. I can read this picture through the class lens. For example, we have essential workers who must go out and work like healthcare workers and risk their lives. Many of these workers are the lowest paid in our society. For example, someone still has to pick up that trash in that picture. So again, I'm referencing class. There's a class of people who are essential workers, and that it's kind of ironic that those are the ones that are lowest paid. So again, this picture, we can read it through that lens, specifically looking at class. I can take this same picture and read it through a cultural lens. The flag in the picture, to me, symbolizes that our country, its people, and our way of life is in danger or interrupted because of this pandemic. For example, we cannot go outside right now because of the danger to our health. So this torn flag can symbolize that our culture, our American way of life, is in danger right now. Take a look at this next picture. I can read this picture through the lens of race. It has been reported that African Americans are dying from coronavirus at higher rates. This could be because they are more likely to be essential workers, have less access to healthcare, and higher rates of poverty. In the photo, we can see the older African American man who is more susceptible to the virus. We can see that he must rely on public transportation, which makes it difficult to keep a social distance. So while you can see that it's just people standing there waiting to get on the bus, you can look at this from the perspective of race and bring up these points about African American higher death rates and how when they're essential workers, it's difficult to do social distancing and protect their own lives. I can look at the same picture through the gender lens. For example, I notice that all the people in the picture are men. Men have had the burden, or at least the expectation, to provide for their families, whether that's fair or not. These men may also feel that, and therefore may feel that they have to risk going out for groceries. So again, I take that same picture, but highlight different things. So let's go back to our instructions. The first thing you're going to do is choose a picture to read through our literary lenses. I'm going to give you some links where you can choose one picture. You're going to take that picture and the little description it has under it, copy and paste it onto a document in the assignment on Google Classroom. Next, you're going to choose which lens you're going to read it through. I'll give you a list again. Then you're going to answer the question, what effects has the coronavirus pandemic had? And you're going to answer that question through the literary lens that you chose. Basically, what subject, what highlights are you going to describe? Then you're going to develop your own analysis of the picture. Also, you can pull in any information outside, including news reports, or your own experiences and what you're living through. Lastly, you're going to cite evidence from what you actually see in the picture, or you can use outside sources or experiences as well. I know this is a new subject, so it may be a little bit difficult to understand. So if you have trouble with the assignments, please drop into my office hours.